I became fascinated with the idea of how detached we are from the everyday barrage of war correspondence. The news reports, media about war and conflicts. We hear it on our phones, on the TV or the computer. Sound in these clips can be so visceral, but when we hear them, they're massively decontextualized. One of the most decontextualized things I think I can imagine. We hear them out of these tiny speakers and screens, but at the source of those sound recordings, there's life-changing, horrific events. It would be one of the loudest things you would have ever heard. Explosions that would have leveled whole apartment buildings, shopping malls, whole city blocks, gunfire, there's rockets, grenades. These play back to millions of people on these tiny devices, but with infinite less energy and danger. The kind of genesis for this project was I had a friend, a director who I did that Palme d'Or winning shot with years and years ago, and I was meant to have a video call with him. He was in Beirut at the time during COVID, and he was like, I'm running 2 minutes late. I was like, it was COVID, so I was on my own at home. I was like, I'm running 2 minutes late. Is that okay? I was like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. But then he sent me this horrific voice note with like, oh my God, like the port or something, and there was like noise of glass everywhere and like sirens, and he'd just been in the middle of the Beirut explosion, and having that piece of like weird media from him that I was so disconnected to, but it was so crazy for him. I guess that is what this is, but like on a different scale and less personal. I think that's probably the genesis of it. There are 20 tape loops and 20 cassette players with built-in speakers in a 4x5 grid which you can walk around. There are recordings of news reporters that are almost killed, reporting live in war zones, first-person videos of people firing grenades at tanks, videos of people hiding from gunmen, children mortally wounded. These have that same decontextualization. Like we couldn't be further away from them. We're taking recordings from the past 2 years or so from Ukraine, Russia, Israel and Palestine. Those recordings are what make up the 20 different loops. All this media from all these conflicts, all this disconnection, I just wanted to try and articulate that and heighten it. Like bringing the sounds out of context even more, like looping them, surround the listener with them and bring them even further away from the source. The idea was to lessen the fidelity even more by recording them onto cassette tape. I like to think I'm commenting on how casually we consume war, how decontextualized everything is we consume about it. Like by experiencing these recordings in this way through the 20 small speakers, it's like an auditory narrow lens, like how distant they are from the source. It hopefully forces you to focus. And depending on the audio you turn them on, a different interaction occurs and you feel a little different about what you're hearing. It's a protest piece. I don't ever talk about sides. I obviously have my own personal opinions, but it's not expressed in the piece. You kind of make your own mind up, basically. I don't think there's any winners which is associated with sides, essentially. But it's more like I hate, when I come across this stuff online or on the TV, I hate it. Like I'm an anxious person anyway, but I just avoid it like the plague. So this is kind of one way of me confronting it, but then also forcing other people to think about why we share it and why do we monetize it and why does it propagate the way it does. When you start going down that rabbit hole, it's like, why does some of it exist in the first place? Which is another interesting question. Hearing something loop like that, you can't help but hear more and more details. And then your thoughts unravel, like what made that sound? Did people die? What actually happened? Like why are they doing that? And who recorded it? That's always a fascinating one. And why do we consume so much of it? It feels eerie and sad, and it can be a bit overwhelming when you take them all in at once. To me, it's like a small snapshot of all of this war media, and it's slowly degrading and slowing down over time.